Hello and welcome to TAP, which, much like this beer, is Audible. TAP stands for the Audible Podcast. My name is Alex Weir. I have a blog, which I consider more of an online journal, called The Fragile Journal, where I write fiction, nonfiction, etc. about the world through a multifaceted lens, hoping to bring other people on board. Pretty fun stuff. I have had a lot of coffee, as you can probably tell. And it is very, very late, which is the subject for today. Time management is what I'm going to shine a spotlight on. Right now, I'm shining my spotlight on the clock that you can't see, and then down at this little journal that I have here, which is one of many journals that I use to sketch out ideas, dreams, hopes, and everything, really. I'm quite a record keeper. So, that there is my contrast and compare of a nocturnal and diurnal schedule. In the past week, as I'm wont to do, I have been waking up at 3 p.m., which is not good. It's not healthy. Or is it? I don't know, but I feel like it's not. But if you're setting your own hours, this is the idealized way to do it. I think quarters are great because you've got 4 seasons in a year, and there's just something nice to it, something even and square. Yeah, some people don't like squares, but whatever. Right. So you got 4. You'll get your spring, your summer, your fall, and your winter. So, you can also break your year into quarters by doing that. Months, and then you plan what you do in those months. But the day itself can be thought of in quarters in a very poetic, qualitative, not necessarily quantitative way, because the morning is the spring when you rise, and then the summer is the afternoon when you bloom, and then the evening is when things start to cool down and they're nice and mellow and you go get beers with your friends. And then wintertime is when you go home and you just spend time wishing cancer on all the drivers that are out there that don't know how to drive and don't seem to care very much to learn. And then you fall asleep and the process repeats again in a cyclical fashion that goes on ad infinitum. And yes, that is the thing, isn't it? Right, so in order to plan in accordance with that in a quantitative way, you can split it up into 4-hour periods. I find the 4-hour thing good because it lets you account for your hours and kind of dissect your major activities. So basically 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., and from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is a day that would start at 6 a.m. If you did a day like I did today and you woke up at 3 p.m., you'd go from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. So I'm going to be going to bed at 7 a.m. today. Isn't that, well, insane? Yes. So if you're doing the super ideal schedule where you have the best perfect day and nobody calls and you're not sitting there thinking about a phone bill, well, you wake up in the morning all bushy-eyed and blah, and you make your way to the coffee maker and you sketch out something in your journal for what you're going to do. You walk the dog because it kind of gets the pace going. You run to the gym because you got to stay strong and healthy, especially to keep up the confidence to do anything creative. I mean, a lot of times you got the nebbish nerd kind of image of an artist. I wouldn't recommend that. I just wouldn't. I'll get into that more later, but staying fit and healthy, scientifically, everything, every which way, very, very important. So do it. So go to the gym, and then you take your shower, and you kind of think about what you've got to do, and then at 10 a.m. you get to doing it. So from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., you do it. So for me, it would be researching and writing. 2 p.m. I'd have my lunch, and then from 2 to 6 p.m., I'd continue researching and writing and figuring out, queries and things in the direction of my blog and, also other administrative tasks. Perhaps if I finish early enough, I will move on to another big project, which for me at this time would be something musical. And at 6 p.m., ideally, I would eat my dinner, and then I'd have my leisure time, which often I would just cut into to do like really boring administrative work a couple of days out of the week, like taking care of bills, figuring out what's coming up next in terms of more bills. Yeah, so there we go. But now if I did it at 3 p.m., as I said, it'd just be exactly the same. It just would all happen during the night. And say you are working a day job, which takes about 8 hours is your average work day. If you wake up at 6 a.m. and you have to be at work at 8, you'd have 2 hours to do. You could do gym for like 30 minutes to an hour. I've done that before. Of course, I would start work at 10, so it made it a lot easier. But yeah, it's doable. It's just that at the end, your leisure time, and then on the weekends, you've got to probably catch up on the. So it's not always fun. But it's a lot more fun when you account for whether or not you have the luxury of being a total hipster like me, or you have to work a regular job. And that's because the system of splitting up into, chunks allows you to see where you can fit in an activity, and gives you, as you, go forward with implementing that, gives you a sense of how to do that innately. And then you don't have to think about it, and you get more and more done. And I think that that's one of the most important things, because I'm always looking for new content. I'm always looking for people to bring fun and exciting and insightful stuff that's challenging, and just to see people happy. Because it's a lot more fun dealing with happy people. I don't mean like happy, like haha. I mean, chilled out people than it is with stressed, butthurt people. Which is why I'm presenting this. Also because I need to put something up on here. I've had a lot on my plate recently. Also, a lot of just background stuff, so I haven't been able to post as much onto the fractaljournal.com, but I have 10 articles, one of which is a chapter for my upcoming book, Forever Fluid, the book about water, coming up. And I will have those done, all 10 articles projected in 2 weeks, so they're going to be coming out and out and out if all goes according to plan. So, I hope that part was cathartic and provided something for you. But I'm going to move along to kind of sketch out the general gist of one of the things I'm going to be talking about in one of those upcoming articles, which would be the post-industrial workforce, right? So, the Industrial Revolution happened in like the late 1800s, early 20th century. I'm probably getting those days super wrong, but that's when I generally think about, mills and things really sprouting up. So yes, but we're a ways past that now, especially here in the United States, where we've offshored a lot of our industry, and that means we have to catch up in terms of how we do things economically, how we trade with each other, what kind of economy we build. Obviously, a big part of that in the United States is the entertainment industry and technology, Silicon Valley, and the like. But on top of that, I think there's a lot of room and a lot of need for art, like really good art. Not just jam bands. I love jam bands. I love a lot of the informal hip stuff that goes on, but at the same time, perhaps not quite obviously as formal and goofy as it was, but there was a concept of a salon or a parlor where people would gather and they'd have quartets and they'd tell each other stories, and it was just really great because everybody was basically like a scholar of whatever they were doing. And I feel like because we were all educated to pretty much the level that those aristocrats back in the day were, we could definitely do that, especially with the free time and energy that we have because we're not out farming and whatever. So this is food for thought. How do we keep our economy afloat and keep our morale high and find uses for people, which is very important psychologically for people to feel useful in such an economy? And of course, as per Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as you don't have to provide for the more basic needs, you get to move up the self-actualization. I know a lot of people aren't fans of that, but it's not necessarily about being selfish. It's about producing something of value that says something about the human condition or is just tangibly good, like the works of J.S. Bach, for instance. People are, you can't objectively judge music, and yes, the emotional response, you might not get a good one from his stuff, it might not resonate with you in that way, But in terms of craftsmanship, it's amazing. And that craftsmanship is kind of an isomorphism. So for the things that we need to do for survival, for getting along, and all of our political systems and things, that takes craftsmanship, which is reflected in music and art of that caliber. And the more people we have practicing and talking about and straining to achieve that level of craftsmanship, the more the society will be geared towards that, and it'll just be all around a more fun time, more happy time, happy fun time. I like happy fun time. We must have the happy. Okay, you understand what I'm saying though, right? I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. We've got to start thinking about it because everyone's talking about unemployment, but in order to have employment, you have to have a population that appreciates and values things that people produce, that aren't just like, oh, well, this is the new vanilla Pepsi. Nothing wrong with a vanilla Pepsi. It's delicious. I don't drink soda anymore, but when I was a kid, I loved friggin' vanilla Pepsi or Coke or whatever the hell it was. But if instead people started appreciating art, which you do by doing art and reading art and making music and all that, I'm using art as an umbrella term here, well, we'd have more opportunity, more markets for stuff. So let's get on that, because in this post-industrial, as things become automated society, we're going to have to. This has been another installment of the Oddity Podcast with Alex Weir. Check out my website at https://fractaljournal.com. Goodbye.